Good evening, everyone. From wherever you're joining from, is another Ebony Ambassador Mentor Resilience Workshop on Your Story, Your Reality. I want to first of all thank you all for being here at this time. I love timekeeping, and when I see people attend events on time, I appreciate it so much. It is not easy. It takes a lot of discipline for one to be at an event at the set time. Some people will say, oh, it will be African time, I will not come at the beginning, but I appreciate you. Like, we need to start changing that narrative about late coming to events. We need to be coming to events early, virtual or face-to-face. Once again, I want to thank you all for joining. If you're joining us for the first time or you're coming across this video for the first time, I will introduce who we are, what we do, and how we can also connect with you. Please, let's use this platform, the chat button, to introduce ourselves. Like, just even if it's just hello, or if you want us to know what you do as a person, please just put it in the chat as well, so that we'll get to connect. This platform is not just for what we're doing, it's a platform for us to connect with one another, patronize each other's businesses, or whatever you do and you want us to be aware of it, please share it via the chat button. A bit of house rule before we start, please let's all stay muted. And if you're not comfortable being on social media, any of the platforms, please leave your camera off, because this event is recorded and it will be shared on other social media platforms. My name is Irene Eribo Ane, and I'm the CEO and founder of Ebony Ambassadors. I'm here today to host this event. As I said earlier, it's tagged Your Story, Your Reality. It's a mental resilience workshop which we did for 2 years, sponsored by the Big Lottery Fund. The funding has ended, but there is a need for us to continue. That's why we're still doing what we're doing today. And yeah, I won't waste much of our time because we have 3 amazing speakers today. Before now, sometimes we do an icebreaker, but I just think let's just go straight to what we're here for today, which would be to listen to people's story and be inspired. I've listened to their story, and I don't know the angle that they will be coming in today, but I'm really inspired by their story, and I hope it will do the same with all our listeners today. Today's topic again is tagged Your Story, Your Reality. As I said, we have 3 speakers in no particular order. I think I will go with the gentleman, although they say lady first, but I will go with the gentleman in the house, who is no other person but David Owomi. If I'm wrong, he will correct me when it comes up. Owomi. I will say David Owomi. David is a researcher, entrepreneur, and a community sustainability champion in Bradford, West Yorkshire. Some people might be wondering, where is Bradford? Bradford is in West Yorkshire. He is a prospective PhD researcher of inclusive and circular economy at prestigious University of Bradford, where he also bagged a master's degree in sustainable development, and with award of academic excellence. I'm really inspired by David's story, knowing that he's just 2 years in the UK, if not less than that. David progress history of community engagement and service are highlighted as thus, which I'll make mention of some because there's a lot. From being homeless and an immigrant here in Bradford, David currently serves as an advisory committee member to Mayor of West Yorkshire, combined with Authority on Climate, Energy and Environment. His story of grief and service continue to inspire young leaders in Bradford, including me, and wide West Yorkshire region. David founded the Bradford Clean Up Initiative and Bradford Circular Project in collaboration with Bradford Council. I will stop here. As I said, the profile is quite long. And the reason why I wanted David to share his story is that his story is one of, I'll say one of his kind. It's very unique. And for my own understanding, I would say it's been all God's grace. And I know we are all believers here. I would say I will stop here and invite David and I will pass on the imaginary mic. Over to you, David.
Well, thank you so much for that. While you were reading, I was like, oh, it's good listen about what you do from someone else. It feels, yeah. Thank you so much. And it's really a privilege to be here. Hello, everyone. My name is David Owumi. You pronounce it correctly. It's, yeah, Owumi. And I'm sure from my accent, you could tell I'm proper Nigerian. And yeah, I moved to the UK. Yeah, representing, yes. And I moved to the UK in 2020 for my master's program in sustainable development at the University of Bradford. And yeah, I'm a prospective PhD student of inclusion and circular economy at the same university. But alongside, I do quite a number of, activities and, work around entrepreneurship, community development, basically around sustainable development. So, yeah, so it's so good to be here. And yeah, do I stop here or do I, yeah. So.
You take. Okay. It's not a question and answer forum, but we want you to just share your story, the difficulties that you faced, but kept you go. You pushed on. It didn't stop you. So if you could just give us a summary, right from Nigeria to getting the admission and to being here and now working with the council, that's a big one. So just summary. You have 20 minutes to give us a bit, but don't leave stones unturned. The things that you know that we will need to hear, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. Thank you.
Okay, I just felt like 2020 is a lot of time for me. I don't think I have a lot to share about 20 minutes, but yeah, let's see how it goes. So, like I said earlier on, my work revolves around sustainable development, but it was never about sustainable development. So back in Nigeria, my first degree, I studied at the University of Benin, in Nigeria, and yeah, I studied mathematics. So my first degree was in mathematics. But if you're from Nigeria, you understand that it's really important to go to school, but at the same time, it's important, as we love to say, to have a skill. All right. So my second year in university, I learned how to make clothes. So I was a tailor in school, making clothes for my lecturers, for students. I'm just doing that on the side. And so after my first degree, when I wrap up my first degree, I moved over to Lagos. And well, because of some family situations that I would not really want to go into, I ended up being homeless. I was asked to move out of the family house and I had nowhere else to go. At first I stayed with my pastor, and from there I was out to the streets, and all I had was the skill. I knew how to make clothes, and yeah. So pardon me if I get emotional, because it can be quite, yeah. So while I was going through all of that, I've never been homeless all my life, and it was then I learned that there's a phase in a man's life where no one can actually help you. It's more like an awakening moment. And I've always had the plan, the vision to, just be of service to people. Growing up, I followed my mom, accompanied my mom to orphanage homes like virtually every Sunday, just to spend time with, the less privileged, the destitute. And so it one way or the other, it shaped, my character and the way what I perceive human beings to be, the respect and regard I have for people. It's as a result of all of those experiences. I've always wanted to be of service to people, but I didn't know I didn't know I could build a career out of it. I didn't know I could do anything about it. So all I did at that point in time was, while I was in Lagos, homeless, I still made out time to go out to orphanage homes and assist them with menial labor, like basically helping them clean up the dishes, feed the people. But I had nothing. I had no money. I had nothing. So I had a conversation with someone in my church, and I told him, this is my situation. I don't have a place to stay. I stay with the pastor, but as it appears, I may be moving out because of some. Yeah, I felt really bad because he didn't have a lot, and so struggling to feed 4 kids and then plus a stranger, that that was a burden. So he asked, "What can you do?" And I told him I know how to make clothes well, and he said, "Okay." So he got me a place, a cubicle. It's just I would call it we call it a shop in Lagos, and he got me a cubicle, and we went there. He told went there. There was no electrical work, nothing. It was just standing there. The floor was it was just sand on the floor, so like it was there was nothing there. And he asked, would you mind starting, from this? And I said, well, I've got nowhere else to go. So what's the like? I've got nowhere else to go. All I just ask for is that you provide me with the sewing machine, and he did that. So he gave me some money, about 60,000 naira, which is a bit less than the £100 today, and I got a sewing machine, and yeah, and that was how I started. I opened the gate in the morning, um, you know, put it in cardboard, bring your clothes for amendment, and I just stuck it up there, and people started bringing the clothes in. I'll just fix it for little change, and that's how I was able to save, get electricity in the place. I lived there for about 2 years plus, going to 3 years, because I eventually rented a place. But I got so used after staying there for just over 2 years. I got so used to sleeping there, you know, on the table, on the floor, and I just rented a place, moved my things there, but I was still sleeping there. But while I was going through all of that, yeah, yeah, it wasn't funny. But I think I'll just so I don't get emotional, I'll just go like take a step forward, all right, or on into like how I transitioned from fashion designing into something else. So while I was a tailor, I was really concerned about it's not. I wouldn't say I'm smart or the smartest, yeah, but I knew I had the right intentions and had the right ideas to serve my society. But I had no one. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the social capital. I knew no one. And I thought we could start having conversations about that. So what I did was I opened a WhatsApp group. I called it Soul Talks Africa then, and I would invite young people to the WhatsApp group to have conversations around inclusion, inclusive development, why everyone deserves an opportunity to to contribute value to their respective communities, and why your socioeconomic background should not matter, your gender should not matter, your religion or your ethnicity or your location on the continent should not be a problem. And that's how I bettered, an organization that eventually evolved to become Salt House today. And I, tailoring was my escape in the sense that like the little funds I made from tailoring, I put it into the organization. I started traveling to different parts of Nigeria, to deep remote communities where you'd have to go by boat for about say 30, 40 minutes, or go through the bush path and all of this. And travel to these communities without knowing anyone. You go there, when I get to the bus park, I get someone who is an interpreter to travel with me. They take me down to the community, and I just engage with the people to find out what their challenges are. And all of these experiences, broaden my horizon. But the problem was I really wanted to do that more, but with what I was doing, tailoring, you had to be there. You can't do tailoring virtually. You have to be there. You have to make the clothes there. You can't be, you can't move with your sewing machine and all of that. So I thought, like, what else could I do? So one day, I on Facebook I saw there's this organization called the Co-Creation Hub. It's a tech hub in Lagos, and they were like, "Oh, we're looking for young people who've got ideas to disrupt, the petroleum industry, you know." And yeah, I thought, okay, I could apply for this. I've always loved ideas. I've always loved ideas. It was something I just developed passion for, like on the side. I knew how to write business plans, professional business plans as a student. And I had all of these skills. So I put in my application and I got an email to come for the program. It was a 3-day event. But on Thursday, it started on Thursday, but I didn't go on Thursday. Why? Because I felt less of a person. So looking at the Facebook page of that organization and the caliber of people you have there, people, young people who've traveled around the world, across the world, I felt I didn't fit in. Like it was not a place for people like me. So I didn't go on Thursday. But I thought that night, I thought to myself, like, what have I got to lose? Like, no one, I just go there, do what I want to do, and leave. No one, would be able to locate me back. After all, like, I'm here in this shop, so like, there's no way anyone will be able to, locate me. And so on Friday, I went for, it was a 3-day event, like I said. So I went on Friday. I learned about all of the ideas, other young people had come up with the previous day. But I told them I wasn't really interested in any of that. Like, I wanted to come up with something new. To cut the long story short, on Saturday we presented, and all of that, and I came second, and we're giving 250,000, and I was like, oh wow, like this is something I could. It was so easy for me. And then there was another event with Lafarge, same plan. We need people with ideas, and I went for that event again, and I was imagine, I came out one of the winners. I was like, okay, so that means there's so much more I can do. And I started thinking about how can I, transform this skill I've got into something more, you know. And so I put it out there. I registered a business. So in Nigeria, you can either register a company or register a business name. So it's cheaper to register a business, yeah. So I just registered the business name, and I put it out there. Vision Control. If you need a business, someone to write your business plans, please reach out to me. And gladly, so many people started, giving me a call, oh, I want to do a business plan. They were paying me as little as 10,000 naira there, which is like, yeah. But I was doing it because the joy was I could be anywhere and still get the job done, and I'll be able to fund, my trip to all of these remote communities. And that's how I gradually, pivoted from fashion designing into business consulting. And yeah, and I remember I had a ritual then, just to be awake, every Sunday I would always go to the airport at 4 p.m. I would be at the airport, Murtala Mohammed International Airport, just sit there and watch people, travel. And I did that for about 3, 4 years. Yeah, I'll sit there, watch people leave the country, people arrive, and just not everyone. I'm always looking out for those who look like expatriates, who are really corporate. And you'd see someone traveling out, he arrives with the police escort and all of that. And he's a young man, well dressed. And I'm like, how do people get to this point? So, Lord, I want to get there. I need to get there, And I remember there was a particular day I was standing there and someone came to me, all of these guys that help with the luggages, and they came to me and they were talking to me like I was traveling, and they were like, Oga, like this, and we were talking, and I felt like, wow, for the fact that these people are beginning to see me as someone who can travel, that's a sign. Like that's a sign. And so I did that like over and over and over again. I'll take a bus down to the island, walk from Obalende down to Ikoyi through Ikoyi Club. But for some people who don't know where Ikoyi Club is, about actually literally walk about say 5-6 kilometers down to Lekki Phase 2, just looking at houses, looking at cars and all of that. And that was my inspiration. And I would get back to my shop at say 12 midnight, 1 a.m. But what I was just trying to do was to feed that my subconscious with the possibilities. I didn't know I was going to get there, but just feeding my dreams with those possibilities. Like, David, it's possible. David, it's possible. You can actually influence the world in a positive way. You can actually achieve anything you want. And that was my motivation, really. And yeah, from business consulting, I met another client who was like, he paid a lot. And he was always writing proposals to the Central Bank of Nigeria. I had proposals for working with the government, and that was how I got like what I would call like a financial breakthrough in a way. That was my leap, and within the space of a year, I was able to move, into an apartment. I stopped tailoring completely, but I was always traveling. So I would build the laptop, we'd be working on proposals, and that was it. And that was it. And then in 20, I had no intention of coming to the UK, honestly, because like I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources. But somehow, 6 months before I moved to the UK, a friend of mine reached out to me and said, "Well, what you're doing? Have you thought about, learning more about sustainable development so you can feed that into your work, the NGO you started?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know how I'm going to get the funds, but I might as well just apply." So I applied for the University of Bradford, and when I got the admission, I reached out to my family members, and I said, "I've got this opportunity to travel, to study, to learn more. I don't have the resources. What I've got, it's not enough to. And then I was so glad that, family members, some friends were willing to like support, like, don't worry, we're going to do a fundraising for you. And that's how we were able to rally around and like raise the money I traveled with. But I knew one thing for sure, that if I got on that flight to the UK, I knew one thing for sure, I would be exceptional, because that was my prayer on the flight till I arrived Heathrow. I kept saying that, oh Lord, make me exceptional. I don't have family members there. I don't have anyone there, but oh Lord, give me the excellent spirit to work responsibly, and I arrived in the UK. The first opportunity I got to serve was as vice president of the Peace Society at the University of Bradford, and then eventually became the president. And that like opened, lots of opportunities to, to get to know the Bradford Council and quite a number of non-governmental organizations in Bradford. I've had the opportunity to participate in leadership programs. Then I started two other organizations. That's the Bradford Cleanup Initiative, where we just mobilize students and residents to for litter picking, to sensitize people on environmental sustainability and how to properly dispose waste. And that was it. So for me, like trying to manage all of that, all of those activities and academic work, and still get to work, to raise money to pay my my house rent and feeding and all of that. For me, it was a lot. It was a lot. So I literally had no social life like while I was in school. But I just wanted, I knew where I was coming from, and I knew the sacrifices that my friends and family members had to make to, to give me this rare opportunity, this rare privilege. This was the opportunity for me to live my dream, to prove that I've got so much more to offer. And I'm so grateful that I graduated, the best postgraduate student at the university, won several awards, and that eventually opened more opportunities. And this is where I am today. But looking back, I think I don't think I've suffered more. I don't think I've suffered more than most people. You can't really quantify suffering, basically. You can't quantify pain. You can't say, oh, what I went through is worse than what you went through. That's not the truth. But one thing I always endeavor to do is to encourage people to share, some of the things I went through. So it's left for the audience to decide if it's going to inspire them enough to make a leap in their personal lives and decisions, or to say, oh, this is not really inspiring enough to, But I endeavor to, to put my story of, what I went through, the suicide attempts, the suicide attempts, and all of those things I went through. So people who are probably where I was like years ago, they would, like 5 years ago, they would be able to say, oh, if David can actually do this, cannot give up and can put himself out there to serve people despite all that he has been through, and all of those, those actions eventually, led to some form of growth and development. Hopefully it would inspire them to make good decisions as well, to be out there to serve people, to love people, and to put other people first. My story is not, it's one of grief, it's one of grace. Um, but I would always keep on saying this. If there's one thing I would take away from this, it's the fact that I put people first before my needs. Because if I kept on, pursuing my personal needs, I need money, I need this, I need that, I probably certainly would not have been able to get the vision to start Salt House today. When I did, I would not have been able to get the vision to go out there, travel to all of these communities, and broaden my horizon as regards what people go through, and that feeding into I would not have the drive to say, oh, because I do this, I have to stop tailoring so I can, get a job or have a, something ongoing that I can do from anywhere. So that way I can still go out there and do what I'm really passionate about. Certainly, I would not have been able to get that insight. So, like I said, my story is not like but it just shows that really the shortest route to greatness is service. Yeah, and it's what I've decided to tailor my life path until God takes me away. is to always be out there to serve people, seek opportunities. There are things that I can do, and once I find people who need those skill sets to, accomplish whatever they need, whatever form of satisfaction or happiness or fulfillment they need in their life's purpose, I'm always willing to make that available, to them and to serve society. So that's basically my story. And yeah, I guess at this point I would pass it on to Lady Irene. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
Thank you, David, for being sincere. I picked a lot as well. As I said, I'm also hearing some different side of your story today. I've listened to you speak before. Personally, I'm inspired. The fact that you didn't give up, and I'm hearing that you even attempt suicide. We're doing this today. The mental resilience is for you to build that resilience. Like there's nothing that you're passing through today that somebody else have not passed through. And there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I will open for question for David. If you have any question, I have one or two. If you have any question for David, please do ask. If you're not comfortable speaking, please drop the message in the inbox. I will read it out. So yeah, this is David. And once again, David, I want to thank you for coming on this platform today. You could choose to be anywhere else. David did not say much about his achievement. He's achieved so many things in Bradford. It's like we that are here before him, we do not even exist anymore. And he was among the he was among the 30 youths or young people here in Bradford that had a handshake with the king. King Charles was in Bradford last week, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And to show how exceptional he is, he was among 30 people in the whole Bradford as a whole to meet with the king. That's a huge one. And when I see people doing stuff like this, I'm filled with joy. And the fact that you are in Nigeria, and it's like, once you're there, I'm there. And the business bit, the helping people with their businesses is something that I need to discuss on you after the screen for the level that you've come and the people that you've helped writing business plan and stuff like that is something that I think I would tap into as well. Let me see if we've got a message. But once again, I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Somebody said, yes, David has removed his achievement from presentation. He's been too modest. Thank you, David. And it's true. David has done a lot. As I said, the profile I've got here, if I start reading it, people will be wondering, is it in 2 years or less than 2 years that you achieved all this in the UK? So your story is inspiring. If it doesn't inspire anybody, inspire me. And they said, if you could touch only one life, you've done your assignment on it. And I will still repeat what he says about service. You can't get it wrong from serving others, for real. In serving others, you will find your purpose, your destiny, or it will shape you to doing what God has destined you to do. So you can't get it wrong in helping people. We give it to Auntie Victoria. Over to you. Unmute yourself and question or contribution.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to be very quick and fast because I know there are other speakers that we are actually eagerly and looking forward to hearing from them. But David, well done. I'm so impressed with you. You're one of the Nigerian youths that are really making us proud, making the country proud, and make us to believe that there is hope for Nigeria. I just want to, in one sentence, the second part of the question, I will leave you to answer after other speakers have spoken so that we don't take their time. I would just want to, in one word, say something too, because now we had the influx of so many Nigerians in UK now, either to study or to work through the visa or whatever. And everybody is saying, oh, there's nothing working for us. I'm a student here. I'm nobody. What can I do? What can I achieve? I know everybody is not the same and they cannot be like you. But what can you say? Can you advise them that maybe some of them are not even married, they are stuck with the 20 hours work to do? What do you have to say to them to get to where they are meant to be? Either they plan to stay or to go back. What one word do you have for them to achieve purpose while they're here? Thank you. I will share this. I will ask the second question when other speakers have spoken. Thank you.
Thank you
No,
so much, Ma. Over to you, David.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not sure if I'm able to use one word, but I'll just say it in a sentence. All right. Always put yourself out there to serve. Why I said this is why I say so like quickly. Okay. On Sunday, I think 2 Sundays ago, I had the privilege to speak with like new students in my church, and I helped them understand that while we were back in Nigeria, we had dreams. There are things we wanted to become. We had aspirations, and then it's very easy for us to relocate to the UK and settle for less simply because we're looking for the shortest route to being comfortable. But when we have conversations with students, often it's always about taking a job that they're not really interested in, they're not really passionate about, just because they want to be settled in quote. I tell them like that's important, but at the same time, this is a working system, and for it to be a working system, whatever it is that you think you benefit from a system, there are people who have laid down their lives, put their skills on the line, put their name on the line to make sure that it's available for the society you're in. That's an engine. It's not about you looking out for opportunities, it's about you saying, how can I be the opportunity? What can I offer to people that would be useful? And so for Nigerians that are coming in, during the King's visit, I was asked that question, in one sentence, what's my message to the King? And I said, immigrants are not the problem. Immigrants are not the problem. People are coming in looking for ways not just to benefit from the system, but also to contribute to the system, to create new jobs, to create new innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, name it, businesses, to serve in a different way. There are people who come into this country to do that. So my message to to those who are my fellow, and it's not just about Nigerians, but anyone who is coming over to the UK or going to any new society. It's not just to go out there to look for opportunities, but it's to go out there to think of what new opportunities can I create. There are quite a number of students that I currently mentor who are thinking about starting up businesses after their studies. Some have wrapped up their dissertation, and we've started having conversation about what would you like to do, and pointing them to where they can actually apply for grants and entrepreneurship programs they can participate in, and all of that. So it's changing that mindset of, oh, I'm coming to the UK to get a job. I'm coming to the UK because I want to leave Nigeria. Or I'm coming to the UK because I want to leave, No, it's not about that. You should have the mindset of, oh, I'm coming to the UK to see what I can contribute. There's something I've always wanted to do in Nigeria. How can I do that here in the UK? What support system do I need to make sure that I'm able to actualize my vision, my dreams? And I think that's what's really, really important. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for that answer. I want to add more to what you just said. In a situation where people think that how would they pay their bills? Because a lot of people, I would just say the easiest work to do is care job, and a lot of people are rushing into care job. Yeah. So what do you say about trying to find a way of paying your bills and also trying to engage in community work and also your study as well? How do you balance those three things?
Yeah, so personal development is really important. While we're doing working in a sector, and it's not just limited to care, while you're doing what you have to do to meet your needs, but at the same time, you need to prioritize personal development. So I encourage students often, like while you're taking a job, in this sector, how about you actually put maybe £100 aside every month to take a course in what you're passionate about? Now, the way the CV is structured, probably you're actually studying accounting. You've been in the banking sector about 10 years in Nigeria. You're here studying some accounting, masters in any accounting course. You definitely would not submit your CV and then put a sector that's outside that. That shows you're not you're not in line with what you want to do. Does that make sense? But if you actually show that within the period of your your program, you were investing in you've taken about 3-4 courses, you've joined about 2-3 organizations that's related to your course, you don't really need to put care in your CV. Just put all of those courses and put the dates in which you did it, and it actually creates more opportunities for you. So there are things that we have to do to pay our bills, no doubt. But at the same time, like I said, it's not hard. I went through it. While I was a student, I was, did an internship with the Bradford Council at first for 8 months. Alongside that, I interned with an organization called Hope for Justice in Manchester. Yep. Alongside that, I volunteered with the Mill Site Center. I'm sure some of us know the Mill Site Center. I was also editorial assistant in the university. I did quite a number of things, and I still had to work. The Bradford Council, they were not paying me. So I still had to work. And so trying to manage, it can be really difficult. And that's why I celebrate any student, anyone who has to, work to pay, their bills and at the same time study. I really applaud them. I tell them, okay, it takes the pain is pain. It takes the same pain, all right? Just ensure that you are developing yourself. You're putting resources aside to develop yourself alongside this. If you're an accountant, look for an ACCA. Is ACCA a course? Take that course. If you want to go into entrepreneurship, have an idea, push it. Push it on. Prepare for it. Draft the business plan. Have mentors. And just make sure that you are not carried away by the fact that you have to make a compromise. Really, you have to make a compromise. There's this saying that pain is inevitable. If you cannot take the pain in failing and being out of, you rather want to take the pain to do everything you can do to survive, so like it's inevitable either ways. So it's not easy, but we ought to do it. We have to do it. We have to do
Yeah,
it.
thank you so much, David. If you did it, we can do it. And let's just put on the mentality that we can do anything that we've set our mind to do. Thank you so much. There are more questions. As we said, we have 2 other speakers. We'll come back to you. So please still stay on. Thank you again for coming on board. We appreciate. And I will move to the second speaker swiftly, and is Nana Hagan. Nana Hagan is into media, and I'm bringing her today for her to even share her experience. It's not like a media that she's in is her, I would say, her major job or source of income, but it's the passion that she had that she really loved to pursue. And the way she pursued it, or how she's doing what she's doing today, is very inspiring. I've heard her story. And not only that, she's a person that wants to see other people inspired. Things that she's done for the community has bagged her several awards as well, and she's a friend and a sister to me from another mother. It's a privilege to have her here today, and I will say over to you, Nana. I will say you have 15 minutes to just share us how you got into being the CEO of Inside View. Over to you, Nana.
All right, thank you, and good evening, everybody. Just like my sister said, I'm Nana Hagan, but my full name is Nana Abena Owusua Hagan. Most of the times, people find it difficult to pronounce the Abena Owusua. So I've just made it simple for people. So simply, Nana Hagan. And I'm the founder and also the CEO of the platform CIC. And also I've got an show called The Inside View with Nana, and which basically discusses, the social, economic, cultural, health, leadership, immigrant policies, and also domestic abuse, and so many, issues bothering the underrepresented societies. Yeah. So basically, this is Nana Hagan, and also I'm an entrepreneur, and also a mother, a wife, and also gospel artist, and also the president of Worship Without Borders. There's a yearly event, that brings women from all walks of life, to just raise a note of worship, yet God. And I will also say that, like a speaker, like in a lot of conferences as well. And recently I got this, I'll say, community awards, like on 2 occasions now, by God's grace. And also through what I'm doing, I've been able to, interview a few, big personalities, which I never thought, yes, I could do. So, I've done so many things. And also, in terms of education, I've got my master's in international business management. I've also got a degree in business administration, and also got banking and finance. That's also, like a diploma. And also, just an, HND in estate management, also from Ghana. Yeah, so this is Nana Higgin. Yes, for you. I've done so many things, but I think maybe because of time, we just, just say these, few things. My background, having listened to David, it makes me feel, how do I share my background? But I will still talk. By God's grace, I grew up in a town called Akotia. That's the eastern, part of Ghana, where, we mine, diamond. Because in Ghana, we have, gold, diamond, bauxite, timber, cocoa, and, many more. But I grew up, yes, in a mining town called Akotia. And my dad was an engineer, and my mom was also a teacher. So I grew up in that environment. So I'll say, by the grace of God, I didn't, have that difficult, childhood thing. I would say my childhood was quite, good by the grace of God. Everything, around was when it was, something to, to remember, to cherish, memorable, stories, like all over. But I'll say that, growing up, I saw my mom, like aside, teaching, she was doing other, petty trading. So I learned from her that you cannot just rely on one stream of income. You can do so many things. And my dad being, like an engineer, my dad was also into farming as well. So I saw them doing other things aside their main jobs. So I learned from them as well. Fast forward, growing up, I wanted to become a lawyer. But this stammered so badly. It was, now I've, had a lot of, therapy and whatever. That's, that's really, really, really helped. So I bring in my arms and, I pause, breathing a lot before I'm able to talk. So that was so much, at school. I was that kind of the shy type. I wouldn't say too shy, but anytime, like somebody wanted to engage with me in a long conversation, I would always, basically, I'm just shy away from it because I didn't want that disability, to be laughed, like at all the time, because society always describe you by your situation. So mine was that. So throughout my my university thing, I had that thing at the back of my mind. I want to pursue law, but just imagine being in the courtroom and not being able to speak or defend your client. So I decided to do other courses. Then I've always wanted also to, help society, because my dad was that type. My dad always, people first. Always put people first. Paying for other people's, school fees and whatever. So I've always had that thing in me, not looking down on other people and also wanting to help people. So after, being a mother for so many years and also being, in school for so many years, I've come to that point in my life, I'm thinking, how can I give back to society? Now, let me just come to where, I was able to combine, motherhood with also raising my children. It hasn't been easy at all, being in full-time education and also being a full-time mom. But, there's something called time management, trying to prioritize, your life, and what really matters to you. Is it your education or your family? But by God's grace, I was able to, or I've been able to do the two. You need, the help of other people to be able to do that. But these should be people that you can trust, people that you can truthfully rely upon. Yeah. So yes, that's how I've been able to, raise my children and also been able to accomplish all these things. Now let me come to how I was able to have this talk show in spite of my disability. During the COVID, I was just wanting to, see, how best can I give back to society? And then in my mind, that things still flashed in my memory again. Nana, you can't do this because you're going to be in front of camera and people are going to see you stutter. And would you want to be seen, like in that way? Then I realized that I can't do it, because for how long will I let this desire, burning in me to empower people, dwindle? And then, the more I try to suppress the feeling to empower people, the more this, stuttering thing also magnified itself. So, I was in my, living room one day, just scanning through the television, and then I chanced upon like a documentary that BBC had done, stammering or stuttering in the spotlight. So that really just hit me. I'm thinking, oh, so somebody have been able to put this together. And I found myself at that time, like imaginary, in front of the presenter, actually, like in my mind. So I'm thinking, okay, if one of the producers and also, like a presenter is a stammerer, then I can do this. I can do this. So I started with, the essence of Christmas. I just thought, let me just do this. But I've always prayed that God, anytime I sit, before, my camera or any other device, Lord Jesus, grant me the spirit of utterance. Let this disability disappear in the eyes and also like in the minds of people, so that, Lord, I'll be able to reach out to a lot of souls. By God's grace, I've been able to, do a translation job. I've also worked in the mental health. And I've also worked in the school as a teaching assistant. So I've seen what goes on in the community, what our children go through in the schools, especially our boys. And then also being able to work as a translator. Can you just imagine me translating for other people? Then I realized that there's a lot that needs to be done in our community. And also in the mental health, that was also another, mind-blowing experience altogether. I'm thinking, oh wow, there's not much understanding on that area, especially when it comes to the minority. So I'm thinking, what can I do to throw light on all these areas, in spite of me being a stutter or like a stammerer? What can I do? Then I realized that there's power in positivity. Once you set your mind to it, you'll be able to achieve anything. the rest is history now. I've been able to touch on so many topics, from domestic abuse to mental health to, so many health topics. And then to my surprise, people ask, Nana, how do you get these ideas? Because one, we know that you've not worked in the media space before. You are not, like a media person. You're not a journalist. You're not a trained journalist. You've not been educated in that area. So how did you get, all these, knowledge, and also, the courage to do this? And I said, it's the Holy Spirit that really empowers me. Because, starting this, I told God, I don't want to do this for myself, but just to, bring awareness, educate people, and also to empower people. Honestly, my desire is to empower boys. Why do I, touch on boys? I'm a mother. I'm a feminist. Everything that goes with girl-child empowerment, I'm for it. But we are losing the argument gradually, because between the ages of 7 to 21, we don't have much conversations with boys. And the messages that I've been able, to gather from mothers really terrifies me. And I'm thinking, what can I do from the normal, the more thing that we all know, okay, like everybody's empowering the girl. What can I do? What can I do to change the status quo? So this is the inside view, yes, for you. So my story and also my reality is, whatever you set your mind to do, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You can do anything. You can become anything. Within a space of whatever, I've been able to, have my own online clothing line, by the grace of God. I've also opened this business. And before that, I've been a mother, a wife. Now I'm, having this talk show. But then the platform, is the main umbrella under which the inside view actually falls under, which we have a lot of things, planned that maybe, like with time, we'll just, unveil it. So this is my story. And I don't know whether maybe it will inspire anybody out there. This is my story. I've gone through a little bit of pain as in a cultural shock, because being the eldest, child of my parents, and, having to move to a different environment, the cultural shock, was something, at that time. But thank God I've been able to acclimatize and being able to be a part of the system. And I'm, just now out there, waving at the cane and everything now. So I'll say that, yes, God has dealt with me well. So that's my story. If I don't know, but if there's anything, that anybody wants to ask me, yes. Mine is coming from a place of disability that didn't, that I didn't allow to, bury my passion. Even though my passion, yes, I know that maybe one day I'll still go back to the law school, which, but in the meantime, this is what I'm doing, giving back to society, just empowering and also educating, also throwing light on issues that we shy away from our communities. This is what I'm just doing, on my own, accord. That's it. So if anybody has got any question, anything for me, yes, I'm ready. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Nana. It's indeed your story and your reality. I think when Nana approached me that she wants me to come on her show, her approach, actually, I thought she's been on it for like 10 years until she said, oh, Irene, do a bit of record. I want to do, like, let me just say 7-8 months after the interview I had with Nana on her show, The Inside View. And she said, Irene, please do a talk, should I say testimony of my show to celebrate my 1-year anniversary. I couldn't believe it. But that's to show that God has called you to do what you're doing. It still goes down to what we're saying, to what we're saying, to serve humanity, to think of what you can do to serve others. In doing that, you will see that you will feel better because you're putting smile on people's faces. And she's met with, name it, to their own high commissioner and people that you think that you will not meet on a normal day, and places that you think that you will not be able to be there. She's gone to places, she's met a lot of dignitaries, and I want to say kudos. And she recently won an award as well as a community champion. So well done, Nana, and keep going on. She's a stammerer, if you do not understand. We say stammerer in Nigeria. So she's a stammerer, but you can imagine a stammerer being a presenter. So if she can do it, we can do anything. Once again, and I want to thank you for coming on this program. Yeah. And it's a mental resilience workshop, and we tagged it Your Story, Your Reality. Just want to hear other people's story and see how we can motivate each other. Please, if you have question for Nana, it's time for you to ask the question, or even if it's a contribution to what she has said, please, you're free to do so. On the chat, and Victoria says, inspiring, Nana. So that's what we really want to achieve, just for your story to inspire, even if it's one person on this platform today. And we all know, as I said, this is being recorded and it will be shared on different platforms. We don't know who will see this and be inspired. Maybe he or she is also struggling because he or she is a stammerer and she said, oh, I can do it. If Nana can, you can do it. So if anyone wants to ask another question, please do. If not, I still have questions for her, but we'll leave it till the end, as we want the next speaker to come on as soon as we can. So if there's no hands up, I will say once again, Nana, I thank you for taking time to be here this evening. I will go to our next speaker. Again, the topic is Your Story, Your Reality. We have a doctor in the house. Okay, Nana is from Ghana, so people don't think that it's only Nigerians that are on the platforms. Nana is from Ghana, representing Ghana. And my best friend is from Ghana, so I think that's why.
Anyone from Ghana as well?
Sorry, Nana.
Anyone from Ghana here? Because it looks like all are Nigerians and we just want to root.
As I said, my very best friend is from Ghana. Maybe she's at work, she would have been here. Her name is Nicole Abba Vedos.
Of Ghanaians, yeah. Lovers of Ghanaians, yeah.
So we're all lovers of Ghanaian, and to crown it all, Miss Ebony UK 2021 is a Ghanaian, and we made it to Ghana last year for our charity mission. So there's connection, Nana. You're not alone. We are with you.
Nana, I will say to you, Aiko.
Oh, that's it. That's it. That's it. Oh, start talking like a Ghanaian now.
So welcome everyone. We are going straight now to the third speaker. Thank you all for still staying put. This topic today is very interesting. I've learned a lot myself, and for those that will be watching us later, today is another mental resilience workshop organized by Ebony Ambassador. Tag Your Story, Your Reality. I've got Dr. Jenny. Is a lecturer in law and practice at Coventry University. Regarding her educational background, she is a barrister and solicitor in Nigeria before she came to the UK. She is a specialist in world trade law and a corporate governance management. Regarding her career, she has lectured in different universities and colleges in the United Kingdom and Nigeria. She has worked as a company secretary and compliance officer in the UK and Nigerian private, public, and charity sector. And the charity bit again is there. You will see that most people that have excelled in this country, there will be a charity bit in what they do for you to get to where you really want to be. So we will not overemphasize that, but you need to involve in any charity work that you can. Going back, to her profile. She's the director of Cool Sets Limited, a company in Nigeria. She's a social entrepreneur, passionate about ethnic minority rights, widening participation and ethnic minority entrepreneurship. As a result, during the pandemic, she ventured into coaching, career and business, and founded Midpoint Coaching Services, helping immigrant and ethnic minority navigate the educational system and job market. She's a hybrid entrepreneur with full-time job and a business. Wow, I think we almost wear the same cap. And being an entrepreneur and also managing a full-time job is not a joke. I will pass the imaginary mic to Dr. Jenny, who is also my sister in Christ because we attend the same church here. And yeah, I will give you the mic. Over to you, Ma. And please share your story with us. We want to know, how are you doing all this? Or how did you do this that you're where you are today and you've also bagged yourself PhD and you are a doctor? Please, over to you.
Thank you so much, Irene, for inviting me. I don't take it for granted. It's a privilege and an honor, and I'm so glad because you could have invited anyone, but you decided to invite me. Thank you so much for that. Are you able to allow me to share my screen? Sorry, I'm an academic also, so I prepared lecture. I won't call it, sorry, I'm going to say lecture slides, sorry. Presentation. Okay,
I will add you as co-host, so you'll be able to do that, to make Jenny a co-host. Okay.
Yeah, so that I don't go off topic or whatever. And thank you so much, Nana and David, for sharing your story. So I have dyslexia, and I found out when I got to the UK. Over the years, I was able to build up strategies. I just thought, that I was slow and, I had to sleep in the library. So that's why, for example, when it comes to things, I have to really plan things very well. And I really try as much as possible to use PowerPoint slides. Otherwise, I can go off topic and I won't even remember what I'm talking about. So very good to see Nana and David doing this with our slides. Really good. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen quickly. And yeah, so put it in presentation mode. Okay, so yeah, so we're talking about mental resilience. So just quickly go through a bit of definitions. So it's just basically about, for the first definition you see on my screen, it's about the ability to use obviously your mental faculty and also protecting yourself from negative effects of stress. So everyone has some form of stress, but being mentally resilient, you need to be able to exercise grit and protect yourself from that. We also have another definition that talks about being able to cope with a crisis and then return to your pre-crisis state. So situation has happened, there's been a life-changing circumstance, but mental resilience is about you getting over that and getting back to what you were before. But for me, I have my own definition for mental resilience, and this is born out of my experience. So it's okay to cry, it's okay to ask for help. Whatever you do, you need to get up and you need to do something. You need to change your current situation. Don't indulge in self-pity. If need be, worst case scenario, ask for help. There's always somebody to help you. And there's always somebody, there's a GP you can speak to, there are charities you can speak to. So coming from Nigeria, when we talk about mental health, people don't want to talk about it. It's kind of a stigma. People don't want to get involved in it. And even especially men, I think for women, it's a bit easier for us because we talk with ourselves. But men, I don't know, it's like that macho feeling. They don't want to say anything about it. And now we know that it's beginning to affect our ethnic minority communities. And I'm very passionate about ethnic minority, and it's something that we need to start speaking about. So my story. So luckily for me, growing up, because I grew up in university community, parents and professors, so I had that extra support. So when I came to the UK and I found out I had dyslexia, I was a bit surprised, but I was able to develop some coping strategies. Because my husband, for example, he saw that I was struggling. He would tell me, oh, there are softwares you can use. You can listen to this article. You can do this, you can do that. But when I was doing my master's, I remember I was sleeping in the library. So I used to spend hours to do things that would take people 1 week, 2 weeks, few days to do. It would take me a week. So I knew that I couldn't afford to do last minute because I was not as fast as other people. But I knew that I had a passion for helping people. And that's the reason why I studied law in Nigeria. I really, really struggled as a student. And I knew that my grades did not reflect what I wanted to be. But I still persevered. I graduated from law school and I said, okay, when I was 19, my pastor at the time in Nigeria told us to write a 10-year plan. And as part of that 10-year plan, I put that I wanted to do my master's in the UK. I put there that I wanted to do my PhD, that I will start my PhD by the time I'm age 25, 26. That was the plan. And I was able to get started in my 20s. I mean, but obviously there were a lot of difficulties here and there. So I planned to graduate my PhD when I was 30, but that did not happen. But anyway, the good thing about it was that I was able to, I had that plan. But in terms of the plan, I remember when, I always like to use this example, when I was at Murtala Mohammed Airport coming into Nigeria, I had a plan of I wanted to study, but I did not have any plan in place of what my career was going to look like. So my husband, we're not married at the time, asked me, that what's the plan? You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I just told him that I was going to come, you know, do my PhD, do this, get a good job, and everything was going to be good for me. But unfortunately, I was not able to get any teaching experience, and that affected me. So I applied for so many roles. I got about 200 rejections. These rejections, they affected me so badly. Sometimes I won't be able to get up from bed. I was so sad. I won't be able to eat. You know, I lost a lot of weight just thinking, what do I have to show for it? You know, and then people will be asking, you know, on Facebook from Nigeria, you know, what are you doing now? What, you know, all of that. So it's really affected me. I didn't believe that, because you just hear people saying depression. I didn't think it was real. I just thought it was one of those things that people just say, oh, any little thing they say, I'm depressed. But I experienced, and it was a friend that told me that, you know, that you're actually going through depression. I said, really? Why? She said, you can't get out of bed. You've cut off from many of your friends. You're not talking to people. Those are the classic signs of depression. You need help. And that's what she said. And I thank God, in terms of, just bear with me, sorry, my screen is not sure what's happening. Okay, yeah, so what helped me? My family and friends came to my rescue. So for me, I'm grateful to God that I'm a Christian. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm thankful to God that I had people, you know, that were there for me. Even when I didn't want to speak to them, they came around me, they supported me. I had a family member that flew me to the US and just said, you know what, you just need to just get out of everything, out of all the chaos and how you're feeling sad and depressed. And luckily for me also, the church was a place of safety and refuge. I had people to speak to and talk to in confidence, and I knew that the matter would not be discussed outside. And then most importantly, since this was regarding my job, because I knew that if I was able to get a job that I really wanted in terms of my career, I would stop feeling the way I was feeling. So that was my priority, trying to get a graduate level job. So I sought help from the career services. I was going there for 6 months, every single week. My CV was being reviewed, mock job interviews. It got to the stage, the career mentor just said, Jenny, I'm tired. All of the things I've taught you, you need to put them into practice and actually get something now. She was just, you know, she was just age 22. I was, you know, normally from the Nigerian perspective or background, a 22-year-old girl speaking to you like that, you just say, who are you? Or, you know, you don't have, she said the truth. She said, you've been coming here for 6 months. You've been doing these things. Now put it to action. Have some confidence in yourself, believe that you can do it, you know, and that was it. And I began to do it. I began to put myself out there. So I decided something. I said, okay, there are two options. One of them is that I go back to Nigeria. Another is that I'm going to stay here in the UK. I said, but whatever I decide to do, I'm going to make sure that I do my very best. Like people ask me that, oh, okay, you left the UK, but what did you do or what did you achieve? So I then became very heavily involved in the community. I put my soul into service of God. I created what we call a smart long-term career plan. So my plan, where I saw myself in the next 15 years, I started looking at people's profile on LinkedIn that I wanted to be that. I downloaded their profile. Some of them I was able to see their CVs, and I started saying, okay, this is what they did. This is what I need to do to get there. And I came up with an action plan. So at the time, I decided that, okay, this is what I'm going through, but I need to take a decrease in salary to gain experience at this time. And since I still had a job that was paying bills, my spouse was working also at the time, I knew that at least minimum wage, we had money coming in. So we were not going to be on the streets. We're going to be able to pay our bills. So at that point in time, I decided I was going to take a decrease in my salary just to gain experience. And that I told myself, no matter how the rejection was, because sometimes I apply for the job, by the next day, or by 12 midnight, I'll get the rejection. That is very painful. No matter how it is, I will always ask for feedback. I may not do that immediately, but before that week runs out, I'll ask for feedback, whether it's constructive or not constructive, because some feedback, they don't even think about, they don't care about how you feel. They'll just write the feedback. But I told myself I will take it like that, and I'll think about what I can do to improve myself. And again, move on to the next application. So I've done an interview. I don't start thinking, are they going to call me? Did I get the job? Blah, blah, blah. I'm moving on to the next one. So I think part of getting out of bed, doing that and pushing myself out there was, I was able to, get over thinking, because by the time you start thinking, you begin to imagine all sorts of things, and you just lose sight of your life, and you feel that there's no point living anymore. And I told myself I will make sure that no matter what, I will never put myself in that space ever again. And to do that, I had to be doing something. I had to always be on the move. Yes, there was no job, but there's something for me to do in church. There's somebody for me to speak to. There's somebody for me to visit. And that was how I kept moving. And then I found out, by the time I started, putting myself out there, that I had so much experience. I was selling myself short. I didn't even know that there was something that people could work in the civil service. I thought it was only for those who were British. I didn't know that because Nigeria was part of the Commonwealth, and even though I was on a visa, I could apply for roles. There were roles that were 2 years roles, 3-year roles. I didn't know about all of this. And why didn't I know about all of this? Because the university was doing so many events, but I was not even attending them. I was not engaging with them. And I remember civil service came. They came to my university, and I was not there at that engagement. Imagine if I had taken that opportunity. Fast forward to by the time I graduated, I would not have found myself into the situation I was, and I would not have gotten into depression. And then I didn't even know that I had transferable skills from previous roles. I'm sure it sounds a bit weird, but I'm just telling you the truth. I didn't know. And this lady was telling me, but you did this. She said, okay, we graduated from law school. What did you do when you finished? What did you do? Why is that not on your CV? And then the big one, she said, okay, you've been doing something in Bradford. What have you been doing in Bradford? I said, I manage the finances. I write trust use reports. I help do the account. And she was like, why is that not on your CV? This is 6 years good experience. Why is this? I said, boy, it's my pastor that was just pushing me to do it. And she said, why is it not there? Put it on your CV. I said, oh, really? So I can put it on my CV. It's charity work. And she said, yeah, it's volunteer work. They didn't pay you for it in it. I said, yes. And I put it on my CV. And then most importantly, I started speaking to people, because when you're the only one who has problems, some people have bigger problems. If you keep staying there, oh no, I don't want them to feel, to know what I'm going through. I don't want them to think that I'm this or I'm that. You're just going to be suffering in silence and in pain. And my husband used to tell me then, why are you suffering in silence? There's somebody you can speak to. There's somebody you can, that can have an answer to your problem. And I remember something that a friend told me once. He said, many trees make a forest. You can't just be on your own. There will be somebody there that has an answer to whatever question that is burning. So I started attending networking events. So as like I said earlier, I didn't even know that through these events, I could link in the industry. I think I knew, but maybe I was not even bothered. And most importantly, I started thinking about my mental health. Anybody that was not going to help me to move forward, anybody that was going to be making me think negative things or put me down, I delete them from my Facebook account. No apologies. I don't need negative energy around me. Anybody that's going to be sending me, oh, we are this age, you have not done this, you've not had a child, you've not this, what is happening? We knew you when all those people, I just say, okay, you know what? Thank God for WhatsApp. I just remove them, because I don't want anything that will making me to be thinking and get me that. So, and I started thinking, celebrating successes. So I need to be thankful, because if you're not thankful for little things that you have, you begin to think that your life has no meaning. And the next thing that will happen is that, what am I living on this earth? What is the point of it? And before you know what is happening, you sink into depression. So please, does anybody struggling with that? We have so many charities. Most importantly, see your GP. You are not alone. There's so much help and support in this country. In fact, the UK is, I don't know about other countries, because I've never lived, apart from Nigeria, this is the only country I've lived. But when it comes to the support and the help, confident, even in the university, there's welfare, there are people you can speak to. So please, you are not alone. So I started looking at the successes. I started thanking God. I said, okay, I got my master's when I was in my early 20s. I started my PhD when I was in my, mid-20s, and all of this. And I have all these qualifications. Why do I feel that my life is worthless? And most importantly, I may not have the graduate role, but at least I have a part-time job. I'm not on the streets. I've never once went to go and meet people, someone to say, come and pay our rent, come and do this. We were managers. I said, so why should I feel worthless? And most importantly, I had people in my life that loved me and cared for me, even when I didn't want to speak to them. So all of these things were little successes. And I decided, I wish I knew all these things at the time. It's after the event that I started realizing that these were all the good things in my life. I know a brother of mine told me once that my younger brother, every time he's speaking to me on the phone, he was always walking on eggshells. And I say, yeah, because they did not know what to say that would not get me offended or upset or making me start thinking. But the good thing was that they didn't give up on me. And that is the importance of family and friends around. Some people are friends. The Bible says, a friend that's secret closer than a brother. There are some friends that are just like family. You need to surround yourself with these people, because when the going gets tough, these are the people that will be there for you to help you and to support you. So in terms of the results, after numerous rejections, I was able to get a job as an associate lecturer. And it was through a referral of someone that I helped to do something. And that was it. So I didn't even know that all the things I was doing, helping people in terms of community development, my job was in the hands of somebody. Then eventually I was able to, so I got that job first as associate lecturer. I moved into the civil service. I'm no offense to the civil service, but I'm not an administrator. I decided that I was going to go back into teaching, and research, which is my passion. And I was able to map out my career. And then today I'm a lecturer, I'm a researcher, I'm a career coach, social entrepreneur, and also a hybrid entrepreneur. So I found out about hybrid entrepreneur when I was teaching entrepreneurship, that somebody who has a full-time job and also managing a business. So we also fall into the entrepreneurship cadre, if you get what I mean. So in terms of the way forward, don't be a cocoon. Somebody somewhere has an answer to your question. Even when you're running a company, you can't have everything. Like, for example, I belong to a group of 400 Nigerian qualified lawyers who are residents in the UK. Every week, they put messages in that group, and I still learn a lot from them. If I know someone is going through a legal battle, I know I can put the message there and I can get help and I can help somebody, even though I don't need advice when it comes to such things. But don't be in a cocoon. There's somebody somewhere that has an answer to your question. And there are also many charities that can help. Ebony Ambassadors is there for you. But this is one of the sessions we're having today. We have Mind Charity, we have Young Minds, we have Samaritans, the local church in your community, or the local mosque, or whichever religion you belong to. There's a lot of help in the community. And also Midpoint. So what is Midpoint? I just found out I was during the pandemic. I got tired of, sometimes you get bored, and I started because I'm a researcher, I was running all these writing groups online for people to come in, doing their dissertation or their research, because we were not going to the library. So it was an online community, and I was using my Zoom account and all of that. And someone just said, oh, Jenny, you changed jobs in the pandemic. You changed jobs. You now have a full-time job. How did you do? What did you do? And I had a conversation with her. She said, people are looking for jobs. You are just changing in the pandemic. And she said I should do a job application seminar. And I invited somebody from the US and from Canada. And I had it, was it in 2020? And then people started sending me their CVs. I remember, because I had gotten so much for that 6 months that university was helping me with my CV, I learned a lot of things in those 6 months, mock interviews. So I didn't even know that because of my what I was going through, I got so much experience. So I started doing these CVs for them. I started doing their LinkedIn profile. And at a point, I just told myself, this is not my job. What is happening? I have my full-time job. I was teaching online with a little one that was disturbing me and trying to teach with my students. I said, I can't be doing it, but Jen, help me, please, I need your help. And someone just said, start charging people for it. And that was how I started Midpoint coaching. So I never knew that I could go into, the coaching. Now people are telling me, how am I managing it? But it's out of my passion. And I'm very thankful that I've been able to help one of my clients, get a tier 2 sponsorship for so I am a former international student, and I'm very proud to say it. I'm very passionate about ethnic minority rights. And I know that even as you come in, anyone that comes in as an immigrant today, as long as you come in to make a difference into the community, you can achieve it and you can make it. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, I'm here. I'm happy to answer all your questions. Thank you so much, Irene, for inviting me to speak on the platform. I will stop sharing my screen now. Irene, I'm done.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was even talking and nobody's hearing me. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as we said earlier, in serving people, you will find your purpose. I'm really inspired for what you've shared today, and we will meet on top where we all belong. I love seeing women striving, trying to do what they can to be what they want to be. And you also being a mother, it's not easy, like managing everything. You're working full time, you have your own job, you have your family to take care of, and you're still where you are today. Well done, well done. And thank you so much again for being here. And please, does anyone have question for Jenny? I have question for all the three guests. So let me read the chats quickly. Someone says amazing, passionate, determined, and diligent. That's from Ruben Education. She is also my mentor. She's a teacher that she's been teaching for more than 25 years in this country. Somebody that I admire so much. If I should say a bit about her, is somebody that once she's trying to write something for you, she will correct it and correct it and correct, and you'll be like, you just corrected. So I know you'll be in that category with her. Thank you, Auntie, for being here as well. Another person said, thank you, Dr. Jenny. I am fired up. Wow, this is what I want to see. And another person said, thank you, Dr. Jenny. And another one says, awesome, awesome. That was too deep. Thank you. Sorry. Auntie Victoria, did you say something? Okay, and somebody says, thanks a million, don't be a cocoon. Someone out there has passed through what you're passing through, in summary. So once again, I want to say thank you to Dr. Jenny. Is there anyone that want to ask question? Please unmute yourself and ask question. Now we can open the question to the three speakers, so not just for Jenny. Someone else also said, thank you all for the presentation. I'm really motivated. It's like when you hear other people's story, you just know that you're just starting, because sometimes you think that you've really achieved a lot, but when you hear other people, it just tell you that you need to do more. And somebody said, don't stop, just keep doing what you're doing, and you definitely get to where you want to get to. Is when you give up, that's where everything ends as well. Someone also said, thank you, Dr. Jenny, for sharing your story. So is there any question for all our speakers? If not, let me start with Dr. Jenny. My question for you, Doctor, is to say that what's the greatest challenge that you faced? I know you talked about depression, yeah? Or when you were depressed. In all this situation, what even led to you being depressed? What would be the greatest problem that you faced that you actually felt like, oh, let me just give up in what I'm doing? So please, can you share with us?
I think for me, the issue was, even if I had to return to Nigeria, I would not have anything to show for it. It was the fear and, if I would put it like this, pressure, allowing myself to be pressured by what people were saying. So, and I completely forgot that the fact that even if I had to return to Nigeria, it does not mean failure, because I would not be going. If I go back, I still had a job that I could have gone back to. I could have, the way I'm doing entrepreneurship now, I could have gone into it and have been a link, between Nigerian universities and to UK. So looking back now in hindsight, there were so many opportunities, but I was just fixed on the fact that I'm afraid, I can't go back. If I go back, people would laugh at me. What will people say? I think it was until I got to a point where I realized that I think the challenge was me, knowing what I wanted for myself and knowing that anything I want to do, I'm doing it for myself and not because of what people are saying. And not, yes, it's good to listen to what people say. It's good to hear people's counsel, but that should not form or make my decisions. And when I was able to get over that, then I think I would say this glass ceiling was shattered for me and the doors began to open. And I think as part of that too, also not because of the feeling of insecurity, not connecting with other people. So because of some of the challenges I faced, you know, there were friends and people that I could have used their help, but out of maybe fear, shame, you know, not being able to expose myself, I chased some of these people away ignorantly. So eventually, by the time it dawned on me, I started going back, I started making connections. And one of the jobs that I got that gave me a double salary, that moved me into, you know, I don't want to mention the figure, but moved into double salary, was from one of those people that when I was going through depression, that I chased her away. So that's what I'm saying, that is really, really important. When I was able to conquer the fear of insecurity, of failure, of what will people say, what are people saying about me, all of that. You know, some people are different. Some people, they are able to move beyond those things. People say things and they let you go. But for me, it wasn't that easy. I had to get to that point in my life where I said that, you know what, I'm doing the best that I can. And this is how I want my life to be. Whatever people say, that is their problem or that is their business. And when I was able to get to that, I now realized that, okay, you know, the world is at my feet, and I was able to do that. And I started retracing my steps. I'm still retracing my steps because there are still some people. I spoke to one a few months ago, and she was like, Jenny, what you said to me, I can never forget it. And I just said, my dear, it's just because of what I was going through at the time. Please just take it like that, you know. So that's the thing. And unfortunately, there are some that I may never be able to get back that connection, unfortunately. And that's what happens, you know. But I'm thankful for where I am today. So I think that's just what I would say. I don't know if
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. And what I would take from your statement is we should give should I say less interest on what people would think about us, because there's this common saying that there's nothing you will do that people will not talk about it. Like whether you're wrong, you're right, they will still talk about it. So why don't we do things that gives us joy or that makes us better? And instead of us capitalizing on the problem or the issue, we should look for something that will keep us busy, engage us, and which will still go back to community service, like trying to do something to help others. In doing that, like your first job now is somebody that you've helped that actually refer you to getting the job. So once again, I want to say thank you. I've picked a lot. Personally, I love community work. It's not just because of what I'm doing at the moment. It's just like, I always want to say how I can help others, what I can do better. My story is kind of similar to David in terms of having to work to sustain yourself, kind of. Like I self-funded myself, like undergraduate and postgraduate. So I paid my fee from money, from skills, I would say from working with what I've learned. I would say I'm a stylist. David is a tailor or a fashion designer, as we'll call it now. But he made a lot of money. He saved even while he was still doing community service. And truly, when I actually had it in mind when I was coming to this country that, I would do a lot of events. I will be an event planner. I will do a lot of things with children. I love activities with children. But I didn't do that like after 7 years, and I went to volunteer at an event. It was an award ceremony, and someone called me and said, Irene, they're looking for somebody to help them, maybe to just help them arrange the flag or be there to actually hand over the flag to the award, the organizers. And I was sitting down, there were two. And the guy, I think then I just finished my degree. And I started my master's, then I can't even remember. But the person I was sitting down with, we were just having a conversation, and he says, where do you work? I said, I'm actually looking for a job. And but personally, this is what I want to do. I love event planning. He says, start it. What is you want to do? Start it, because anything you're thinking of, somebody else is thinking about it. If you don't start it, the person will start it, and you think that the person still what you want to do, or you might not be afraid to do it again because somebody is already doing it. And they say start it. That is how I started it for real. And it's not like when I started it, I had a lot of money in my account to start it. Somehow during that period, I was in a car that involved in an accident. Nothing happened, but as you're in the car, you're still entitled to compensation. And I had the compensation. That was how I started what I was doing, but it's not like there was money I saved somewhere that I used in doing it. But in going back to the point I'm trying to raise is like, in serving others, you will find your purpose. So once again, I want to thank you, Jenny, for coming. My question to David, I don't know, David, are you still here? If
yes,
not,
I am.
okay, David is still here.
Yeah.
So my question to David is, How did you like be sincere about it, or how did you like in terms of studying? Yeah, I don't know if I've answered the question before, but maybe I really want you to throw more emphasis on what you said. So how did you merge the your study, because he won an award as being the most excellent in terms of distinguished student in his own field. So he won an award during his master's here in the UK. So I wanted to ask him, how did he achieve that? You were doing a lot in the community, but you were still exceptional in terms of your academic pursuit. How did you do it? I know everybody's brain is different. Like people like me, I don't really know how to cram, or I don't keep that much in. But how did you do it? I know we're all fashioned differently, but there are some tips that you can also give us to help. How did you merge both together and you are still exceptional in your studies?
Okay, so I think first of all, I would say it's because I was really interested in what I studied. Yeah. So I didn't just choose the course because I wanted to leave the country. I chose the course because I really wanted to know. So I still made out time, despite, while I'm volunteering, I'm reading about it. I remember my dissertation. I wrote my dissertation in 8 days, let's say 8, 9 days. And I had not started my dissertation until 8 days before the deadline, 8, 9 days before the deadline. And it was really easy for me because it's research that I have done, for my personal knowledge, so it was quite easy. So I think it's really important if you like what you're doing, so that way it doesn't feel like work. It's work, but you are motivated to want to do it. You're motivated to want to do it. So I think that's one thing. And also I remember even while as a student, one like a short course I had was I conducted like series of tutorials for students. So there were so many students who could not catch up, and then with the permission of my professor, I would organize online or face-to-face sessions at the university, get to teach them, and by teaching them, I get to learn as well. So I know I'll have a lecture tomorrow, so I have to read more, broaden my knowledge, and that way I'm able to teach. They also communicate what they know, and I pick it up, and that's how I was able to develop. So it still goes back to putting yourself out there for people. So yeah, I think
Why I laugh, David, is because a lot of people are here and they are studying what they are not passionate about. So that's a problem that you cannot even solve. Because truly, some people just take up maybe a cheap course because they want to come to the UK, and you still need to study, or else either you are being withdrawn or you might end up coming out with any grades. So that's the problem that they have. I think it's from the foundation. The fact that you're doing what you're not passionate about is already a problem. Yeah. And I think maybe God will help. Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying. If you're passionate about something and you want to see perfection, it's not like saying perfection, but it's easier for you to achieve perfection because you know where you are, what you're doing. So thank you so much. And for those that will be listening later, if you want to come into the UK or go abroad to study, please hold on to go into the course that you're passionate about, that you really love. I'm a victim because I love anything humanitarian kind of study or field. But when I came into this country, I went into care. Like I did, my undergraduate was health and social care. It's not like it's my background. Even when I was in school in Nigeria, I'm this kind of person, like I like involving on discussion, social kind of thing. Even if I'm in class, if I'm not talking, people will like, what's happening? You're not even talking anything. I like contributing. I like something that has to do with community, name it, the humanitarian kind of stuff. But when I came here and went to do health and social care, I wasn't fulfilled until I went back to do my master's in human rights and international relations. So at least I said, okay, this is actually where I want to be. So I will still encourage others coming after us, like, come, wait till you get the degree that you're passionate about, that when you're reading it's easier. That health and social care, only God knows how I passed the distance, because it wasn't my background at all. But I did it because it's just like you're left with no other option. So please, let's come in with what we really want to do. Yeah, that's my question for you. If anybody have question, all the speakers here have their contact. If you want to speak to them afterwards, I know they are all passionate about helping others. So they will be willing to speak to you after this event. And let me give it to Dr. Jenny. Dr. Jenny's hand is up, then I will give it to Auntie Victoria. Dr. Jenny, over to you. Thank you again,
yeah, I think for those who are listening to the recording after, the UK is a good place to live and to work. So we want you to come to the United Kingdom. But as Irene has been saying, if it's better you choose a course that you're passionate about. But we also need to bear in mind that, you know, when you're applying for admission, you might want to apply for something and the university might feel that you're not qualified. Maybe, for example, they are requesting for a second class upper and you made it 2-2. So sometimes, Irene, people might have to do another course that is not really their desire to do. But the good thing is that when you're doing, you know, speak to the university, find out from them, maybe there's any prerequisites you can do when you come on campus, and if there's a possibility for you to change or even, you know, change or do an extra module or something to get in line with what you're doing. Because if you do something that you're not passionate about, it will be hell in the UK for you, because you will not be able to do the assignments or the exams, and you find yourself, you know, racing against time. And also for those who have already done courses that they're not passionate about, you already have the example of Ebony, Irene Ambassadors, who went and did a master. So hope for you. You just need to just find out, speak to your career advisor in the university, or speak to Midpoint Coaching to find out, you know, how you can carve out your career path. Basically, you can create a new dream, you know. So the dream is not Japan. Yeah, I'm saying it because of those that be listening after. When you come into the country, you've entered, you got down from Heathrow or Gatwick, or what's the name of the other airports? I can't remember. You need to now create a new dream for yourself, because the reality is going to hit you. You know, we don't pack money from the streets of London. You need to work for everything that you earn. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jenny, for that contribution. Over to you, Auntie Victoria.
Thank you, Irene. Dr. Jenny, thank you so much. That was really, really wonderful and, in fact, mind-blowing. But Irene, may I say this? I think we will need another seminar for JAPA. It's very, very important, please. Yeah. Okay. Having said that, as an home student, so I may not be able to answer this question. That's why I'm throwing it out. Let's assume that somebody just came now, like you said, it's maybe in the name of JAPA, and only to find out that it's even far, far from their dream. Is it possible for them to change immediately they arrived in the country, or how does it work? As an home student, I don't know about it. I'm just asking because for whatever reason, let's assume Mr. A has just arrived, and because of easy access, maybe he settled for accounting, only to find out that it's even far, far from his dream. Is there a way by which they can change their course immediately, even after payments? I don't know how it works. So because that may help some other people to channel their dream into something else.
Okay, I will give it to Dr. Jenny. Over to you, ma.
Yes, it's possible, but they can't afford to delay. I believe probably because I've heard of people changing their masters. I do know of somebody, I think Irene, you may know the person that was doing a master's in fintech, who is a lawyer, and luckily the person realized that the person was in the wrong field and now changed back to do a master's in law, which is what the person should have done from the very beginning. So there's so many, I've heard of so many people, but there will be a timeline. I don't think after 3 months or so, I don't think, you know, it will be possible to change. So you so that the person needs to get on it in making the person gets into the country. And it might also mean that the person obviously will have to apply to Home Office again, get a new, CAS number that it's called. The person might even need to change university, especially if that course is not being offered in the university. So coming here is one thing, but you have to be up and doing. If you realize that it's a mistake, you made a mistake, it's not too late to make a change. You can still do so within the specified deadline. Because I think after 6 months, I don't think Home Office would
Okay.
What to
And
make any changes. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Dr. Jenny. Before I allow David to speak, I think for what you said, sometimes you might also do what you're in here to do for a year, then you change. That might, like, you might have to have another 1 year up to the course that you came to study. I don't know how to put it. Like, you might be doing what you're doing for that 1 year, and you find that you're not coping with it, and you speak to maybe the advisor in school, they might now put you to the other course, but you've already lost a year because you must still complete the other 3 years and something like that. I think that's what I wanted to add. Over to you, David.
All right. So just to answer the question in the chat about brain drain in Africa. Yeah, that's true. Because as a result of, most of our talented people leaving the country, there's a lot happening back home. I was in Nigeria in July, and I could feel that the reflection of our migration and all of that. But at the same time, what we try to do is to provide opportunities for transfer knowledge. So for me, I've got an organization back in Nigeria called Salt House, and we're actually scaling at a very fast pace. And I try to get all of that research knowledge and experience, and feed that into our work, and also create an opportunity for people who are on the ground to learn. Usually I have access to some webinars, here in the UK, and I try to get as many people as possible on it, so they're more exposed and and all of that. So about brain drain in Africa, that's why as my leader said, Japa is not the goal. All right, it's not enough to just leave the country and think, oh, that's it, I left the country and that's it. But also your ability to look back and get all of that knowledge once in a while. If you have to register a company back home, register a charity back home, do it. But just find a way to channel that knowledge and experience you get here back and equip other people so they can be, agents of change back home. Yeah. And if you can go home as frequently as possible, do it. Like, go back home, organize a webinar. I was in Nigeria in July. I'll be in Nigeria in January, from January down to the end of February as well. So it's, yeah. So that's what I'll say about that. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, Nana and Jenny, for sharing your story. Yes, and
one more question for David.
Okay.
Do you still have time for sewing? Me, I love sewing, so do you still have time to do that?
Well, the truth is, to be very honest with you, I wish I had time, because I still love doing it, but I can't. Like, there are days when I was like, oh, I think I should just do it for fun, but like I wish I don't even have the time to finish some of the things I've done correctly.
It makes a lot of difference when the researcher handle a sewing machine. I know what I'm talking about. Bye.
Auntie is very cheeky. So David, what we do through Ebony platform as well is empowering people through skills. So we run workshops where we teach like sewing, hair braiding, makeup, rhinestone embellishment, knitting, and so on. And it still goes down to my background, knowing that I made a lot of money from hair braiding when I came into this country. It's not now that wig and everything have spoiled the whole business for us. When I came in, when I go to some houses to make hair where they have 3 girls, I could leave that house with 300, 350 pounds in a day. So, and I had a lot of customers there as well, but things have really changed. But going back to what she's saying, we love anything skills empowerment. So that is where Ebony started from, and we're now diverting into doing mental resilience that we started during the pandemic because of the isolation, and we were funded by the Big Lottery Fund twice. And and we got other fundings from ABC Small Grant, Arnold Clark Community Fund, a lot of small funding around as well, just to push the mental resilience workshop to keep people busy as the mental health issue was on increase. As I said, the funding have ended, but we're still doing what we're doing because of the cases of mental health issue in our community. It's so sad to see a DJ that I know person that knows the person closely. He committed suicide, a guy. And before he committed the suicide, that day he took his children to school and go home and called the wife that he can't take it anymore. Whatever the situation is, I don't know. And he killed himself, a guy here in Liverpool. And not only that, there's a lot of people who've seen they will just drive their car somewhere, maybe they jump into the river or something like that. So that's the reason why we're just using our platform to do what we're doing. Coming here, it might look like, oh, we would have been doing something else, or doing, even when I was doing makeup this evening, I wasn't feeling like it, but because I've already set the day or the time, and I know some people are already committed to being here today, I just said, let me do it. So in all, it's just doing what you love doing, just seeing people feel better, empowering others. That's the key. And in doing that, truly, sorry, Auntie. Yeah, in doing that, truly, you will find your purpose. And truly, I want to say, well done, David. You're making us proud. I cannot overemphasize that. You're really making us proud. Well done. And yeah. What else will I say, Nana? Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Sorry to interject.
Yes, please.
Listening to Dr. Jenny, Marema is fine. She's also dyslexic. If I'm right, yes. And I'm also here, and none of it has actually stopped us from pursuing what we want to achieve. Now, let me just share this thing. Just with you. And just beginning of this year, I was just minding my business, and I just had a call from a lady that's actually interviewed. That was last year, so I'd actually forgotten about her. And she goes, "Oh, please text me your address." And I'm thinking, my address for what? It's not done. So I didn't actually encourage it. And then after 2 days again, she came back and said, "Anna, please, we want your address and any other information from you." And, like this time I had to ask her, what do you need all this, personal information from me for? And then she said, since you are, bent on, knowing what this is all about, and this was meant to be a surprise, but since you just want to know, we might as well actually tell you. She goes, we've been monitoring what you've been doing. And then, considering the fact that you don't have any team working with you, and then single-handedly, every, weekend, or 2 weeks, you come, like consistently, and just empowering people on your own, with no support, no funding, no sponsorship, nothing. You just come and you do your thing. All the topics that you're covering are things that are so relevant and also important to our community. So we just want you to be a part of our board. And I'm thinking, like, what does that mean? And she goes, we want you to be a board member. So it's like a board of director. And I'm thinking,
Wow.
Whoa, this is so huge. The board of director. I'm thinking, So then I'm thinking, oh, okay, now send me what, your company actually, do. And then I had to, and I'm looking at the affiliations. It's mind blowing. And then too, they were looking for women, from different parts of the world. And guess what? A stammerer like me, they got in touch with me from Ghana again, wanting to empower 200 girls in Ghana.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm saying, yesterday was our graduation ceremony. Let God be the glory. Before that, every Thursday evening, 5 o'clock, we sat here in the dining room, via Zoom, empowering, the mentees that I was assigned to. And the first day that, I was given the topic, public speaking, all this, and I'm thinking, me now talking about public speaking, it doesn't make sense, because I started from that background, shying away from my camera, not wanting to be in front of people. Now I am teaching somebody, public speaking and everything that comes with it. So what am I saying? To any young girl, to any young boy out there that has got a dream, that has got a passion, that has got anything that you want to do, I am using my disability as an example. Don't let anything hold you. Look, there are days that I can't talk at all. I will struggle, whatever. When you look at my interviews, I struggle with my intros because I was, like that is when, all the tensions, but I've said to myself, that will not stop me from talking. That will not stop me from, interviewing anybody that I want to. In fact, I've said one day, I'm going to interview maybe King Charles or maybe the Prime Minister. I don't know, but it's going to happen. And I want to encourage you there. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dream. It might tarry, but hold on to it. Pray in everything. Let apart from working hard physically, whatever it is, don't forget, like your prayers. Back it up with prayers. David said, God, make me exceptional. And God didn't actually listen to that prayer. So what is your prayer? God is waiting to answer your prayers. So, like tonight, I leave you with that challenge. Whatever that you want to pursue, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody hold you back. You can do it. Yes, you might fall. Do you know what? When I started, look, my own friends were laughing at me. Nana, what are you doing? You're making a mess of yourself. I said, yes, I know. Yes, I'm stuttering. Yes, I cry. I tear up. It's not nice being, actually wanting to talk, and then you can't talk, and then you're just, saying things, that doesn't make sense. But day in, day out, I built my confidence. And this is what, before then, I wouldn't even put on this camera at all. But today, with exercise, breathing exercises and whatever, I am here. So thank you so much. Thank you. And now, to sit here and thinking that I've been able to empower or been a part of girls I've never seen. I've never, whatever, but through this, what I'm doing, I've been able to reach out to a lot of people. So I'm here. Like whatever story that you want to share, the inside view, yes, I'm here. And yes, that's it. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. Well done. Well done, Nana. You're really living your dream and purpose. And if you don't live it, you will not be fulfilled. Thank God you pushed against all odds. And that is how we all is going to flourish against all odds. And I want to thank everyone for being here today. This program is recorded. We'll be sharing it on our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and maybe on our website as well. Ebony Ambassador is a community interest company. We involve in activities that bring people together, cultural, arts, events, and we're known for our yearly event called Miss Ebony Creativity Contest. That event has been on 7-8 years in a row now. So even some people think my name is Ebony, it's not even Irene anymore. But it's still trying to transfer skills to people that I got to where I am today, that I've been opportune to have the First Lady of Sierra Leone to attend our events and other high commissioners. And it's in serving others that we get to where we want to get to. It's a thing of joy for me to watch David on TV, BBC with the King. And what else can we ask for? Where even in the Bible says, we all pray to sit with kings and dine with them. And if you've gotten to that height, what else will you pray for? Again, just to be to be of good to humanity. Keep doing what we're doing, and truly, one step at a time, we'll get to where we're destined to be. Once again, I want to thank everyone for being here. I appreciate you all. So once I share the recorded version, please share it and bless somebody. We never know who has dyslexia and is still struggling, or who is stammering and maybe he or she wants to go into media, or who thinks that, oh, because of my background, I cannot be where I want to be. You can. And we have a lot of people to mentor you. We also signpost people to the right people to help you through your journey. And we have coach in the house as well. You can't do it alone. You need to hold on to people that have the experience, that know what they are doing. And I can beat my chest for Dr. Jenny. Like, if she's coaching you, she'll coach you even through her own experiences. So you will get the best out of the coaching that you will get from her. Let's truly try and encourage each other. You know anybody around you doing something, let's patronize that business that the person is doing so that we'll all grow together. Once again, I want to thank everyone. Thank you, David, for being here. Thank you, Nana, for being here. And thank you, Jenny, for being here. And to everyone listening today, I want to say thank you. And we look forward to seeing everyone in our next 2 weeks event. The topic is not yet out, but you will definitely know through all our social media platform. Once again, thank you and have a great evening. Bye for now. Okay. Yeah, please patronize ethnic minority business. Yeah, I'm in support of that as well. Let's support ourselves and build our own network like the Jewish community. That's something we're lacking within African community. We prefer to go to someone else to get what we want to get, where your sister, your brother, your relative, yeah, someone from your group can offer same service or product. So please, let's try and support our brothers, sisters, so that we'll all grow together. So that's it from me.